Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome again to the Saturday Night Halaqa. Some of you were not here last time, so what I'm going to do first is a quick recap of what we covered last time. We started the story of Adam alayhi salam, and basically there was a conversation between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the angels. It's just one ayah, one question or one statement and one question. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala proclaimed and He said, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً, I shall make a khalifa on earth, a successor, as we said last time. Someone that comes after someone else. That is the meaning of khalifa. And we talked about that in some detail, and we mentioned different opinions. A brother approached me after the halaqa, and still some questions about the jinn possibility. That the creatures that inhabited the earth before Adam, before the human race, were the jinn. And basically the jinn were causing mischief and corruption, spilling blood. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Iblis, at the time was a good jinn. He sent him with an army of the angels and so on, and they took care of those rebellious jinn. That story is mentioned in some books of tafsir. But the response we have, number one, this story is not related or is not coming from the Prophet, peace be upon him. So we're not obliged to follow it. We're not obliged to believe in it unless there's a compelling reason. Like we have an authentic narration from the story, from the Prophet rather, alayhi salatu wasalam, himself. If there is a clear, authentic narration from the Prophet, peace be upon him, then of course we follow it, we abide by it. Now, if we look at the text, and that's what we did last time, we see more than one reason to believe that those beings before Adam were similar to Adam. It could have been another form of humans. And now we know from archaeology and science in general that there were other forms of humans. We mentioned two quick clues or hints, if you will, in the ayah. One, the fact that it was said it is a khalifa. And a khalifa is someone who inherits from someone else. So there has to be a relationship between Adam and the one who preceded Adam. And the other hint or clue is the fact that the angels said, are you going to bring somebody who spread corruption and spilled blood? And we know blood is a feature of the human race and the animals as well. To our knowledge, it is not a feature of the jinn or some other creature that we do not see. Again, these are some hints, and this was the conclusion. We said the likeliest scenario is that there was some form of a human being before Adam alayhi salam, and this is where we stopped. We also mentioned that there was an important lesson in all of this. When you look at the angels, and this is the only place in the Quran where you see the angels questioning Allah. We said this is not disrespectful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is teaching us a lesson that it is okay to ask questions. If there's something in the Quran, something in the religion that you do not understand, you should not be scolded by the teacher. The teacher should be understanding. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was patient with the angels, although it looked like they were questioning His command, they were questioning His wisdom, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not scold them. He did not tell them, why do you ask those questions? You're not supposed to question my authority. he did not say that. Rather, he said, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. I know something you do not know. And this is usually the reason why we ask questions, because we have limited knowledge. You're sitting with a sheikh, with a teacher. Usually, the teacher has more knowledge than you. So it's obvious that you're going to have questions. So when a young Muslim, boy or girl, anyone, if they have a question in mind, we should have a safety zone in the masjid, in the community, that you feel comfortable coming to the sheikh, coming to the teacher, coming to the leader in the Muslim community and asking questions. It's totally okay. And if somebody objects to that, if somebody has a problem with that, it is not your fault. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us a great lesson. This is the first story we encounter in the Quran, and we see this, that it is okay. And now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what we're going to see today, how He responded to the angels is even more interesting. So we left at that. The answer is not there yet. We have not heard the answer yet. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala quickly answered and He said, I know something that you do not know. But now He's going to show us, and this is one way of teaching. Teaching is not just speeches and lectures. Allah, in a very practical way, showed the angels the reason. Now, one thing also about the question of the angels. In essence, questions are different types. You can ask what, how, who, where, when, and why. The question, one of the most profound questions is the why. And this is the question that many people today, even big scientists, are trying to avoid. Because they say, this why question does not make any sense. We only should focus on the how. Because once you go to the why, now you're talking about some meaning to the universe, and this is something we don't accept. But this is exactly the problem. Now we live in a society void of meaning. Like, what is really the meaning of your life? Why do you even live? Is there any good reason for your existence? So this question from the angels, in essence, it is a why question. Like, why, oh Allah, why do you create a being that could shed blood and corrupt the earth? And in essence, they're saying, we're better, right? We're good. We worship you all the time. We always glorify you. So why bring another being that seemingly is evil and corrupt? And now the answer is going to have a really important clue to our existence. Now the answer is going to tell us why we're here, why we exist, despite the fact that we are, some of us at least, corrupt and we spill blood. We know this is very true. Now you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say to the angels, no, you're wrong. The human being does not spill blood. You don't see that anywhere. He does not tell them, oh, they're not corrupt. So in essence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's admitting to the fact that this is definitely part of the nature of the human being, that we are corrupt, that we spill blood and kill. But it seems like there's a greater reason, a greater objective from our creation. And this is what we're going to hear today in the rest of the story. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does something. There is an act. So the angels are watching. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. What Allah does, so He doesn't even tell us about the creation of Adam here. He tells us, He focuses on the essence of our existence. He said, and He taught. So underline taught, teaching, learning, knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam all kinds of things. Now it doesn't tell us what kind of things. It says, al-asma'a kullaha. Now asma' could mean names. But it's not just names. It's not just like you learning the name of your friend. No. It could be the names of objects, tools, animals, plants, variety of things. Also, some scholars have mentioned that this could be knowledge in general, like how to do things, how to understand. It goes further than that. In fact, it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in Adam the ability to learn. Now let me ask you, can you think of any other creature that has the ability to learn? Let us make it more interactive. Yes? The dog. Very good. So the dog has rather a limited ability, a very limited ability to learn. You'd be lucky if they could, learn a few tricks. You throw the ball, they go and get, you fetch it. They go fetch it for you. You can teach them a few things like sit down, that a boy, good boy, etc. I don't know what they say, but good dog maybe. So you can teach them a few tricks, absolutely. But that's about it. I mean, they have such a severe limitation when it comes to learning. And this is true about any animal. Even like the parrot. All you can teach it is to mimic your voice. But they have no ability to learn. Yes?
What about the octopus?
The octopus, you said?
Yeah.
What about it? I don't know. Teach me. I'm learning now.
Every video I've seen so far on the internet, besides the Charlottesville stuff, is about an octopus like escaping from a hole or learning from its like
An octopus escaping from a hole.
Escaping
So now,
from
okay,
anything.
we're not denying the fact that animals, they have, certain skills, and the fact is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Quran about this. He said, for example, سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى الَّذِي خَلَقَ فَسَوَّى وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى. So yes, he told us that creatures in general, they are guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided them. But this is different than you being born knowing nothing. And there's an ayah about that. لا تعلمون شيئا. What is the beginning of the ayah? Quick quiz. خلقكم والله أخرجكم من بطون أمهاتكم لا تعلمون شيئا. So this is very unique and specific about the human being. He said, Allah took you out of the womb of your mother, knowing nothing. This is not true about the animal. Many animals, when they're born, they already know the tricks. They know how to walk. You don't know how to walk when you are born. It takes you 2 years to learn it, more or less. The human being has such a quality that when you're born, you know nothing. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. لا تعلمون شيئا. You know nothing. And then He taught you. And when you learn, you have this ability to learn. There's no limit. Now here, we have to be careful. We're not saying that other beings are not, like they don't have any knowledge. The angels have some knowledge. Of course they do. Other animals, they have certain amount of knowledge. They know how to get by. They know how to find their houses. They know how to find their prey and so on. But the difference is the human being has this ability to learn, and there is no ceiling. There is no cap. There is no limit to how much they learn. And the other thing, they learn from each other, generation after generation. You don't have to reinvent quantum physics. Luckily, someone already did. And that's not an easy job. You don't have to reinvent all of these sciences. That is something very unique about the human being. Okay. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates Adam. He teaches Adam all kinds of things. ثُمَّ عَرَضَهُمْ عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ. And then He shows these beings, we don't know exactly, it could have been certain objects or certain animals. He shows all of that to the angels. So now He is quizzing the angels. He wants to extract the answer out of the angels. Not that I preach to you or I tell you, no. I'm going to show you in a practical way. I'm going to give you the answer in a very practical way. So, okay, Adam has the ability to learn. Let us see what you got. فَقَالَ أَنْبِئُونِي بِأَسْمَاءِ هَؤُلَاءِ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Pop quiz. He said, go ahead that and tell me the names of these things. If you are truthful in your question, if you are true in the question you ask, show me. Show me what you got. Show me what you know. Are you able to learn these new things? The answer of the angels, قالوا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا. They said, glory to you, O Allah. We know nothing except what you taught us. Now you see the difference. Adam has the ability to accumulate knowledge, to learn more and more. But the angels have limited knowledge. Only what you taught us, that's all we know. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. You are indeed the all-knowledgeable and the all-wise. قَالَ يَا آدَمُ أَنْبِئْهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. And then he said, "Oh Adam, tell them, Adam." Now, I don't know if you've seen this in the classroom, but I've seen it in my lifetime when I was a student. Some teachers, and you may not like this type of practice, they love to quiz the students in the middle of the period. So like they're writing on the wall, and then not many people paying attention, and out of the blue, all of a sudden, they ask you this question. Something about, something they're writing on the wall, on the board. It could be a mathematical question. And you're caught by surprise. And they pick on certain people, like, stand up, tell me what the answer is. Until someone pretty smart, bright, that everybody hates, gets up and says the answer. But look what's happening here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a very effective teaching method, whether you like it or not. So now he quizzes the angels, and then what he does? He asks Adam to stand up and tell the answer. قَالَ يَا آدَمْ, O Adam, tell them. أَنْبِئْهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. Tell them about these names and this knowledge that you just learned. فَلَمَّا أَنْبَأَهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ. So Adam did very well. Adam did a very good job. He told the angels what he learned. قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ غَيْبَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, see, didn't I tell you that I know what you don't know, that I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm creating? وَأَعْلَمُ مَا تُبْدُونَ وَمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ. Okay. This is something that you don't see around a lot. Even the story, as it is told in the Bible, you don't see this particular side of the story. In fact, when it says that Adam did not have any knowledge, but only when he was forbidden from eating from that tree, and they call it what? The tree of knowledge. As if Adam was deprived from any knowledge, and that tree was his gateway, his way of learning, of earning knowledge. And that is totally different from our version. Our version says Allah taught him knowledge. He didn't have to eat from the tree to get knowledge. Now, of course, in the Quran, Iblis promises Adam something different. He promises him eternity. Shajaratul khuld, he says. The tree of eternity. That's what is mentioned in the Quran. But if you read in the Old Testament, it is the tree of knowledge. So that is an important difference. Here we have that it is Allah who taught Adam knowledge, and he ingrained in him this ability to learn. And that is really, really important. This is actually one of the telling differences between us and everybody else. The Prophet ﷺ told us in the hadith, just to highlight this important thing that I believe today, unfortunately, Muslims and even non-Muslims, because we consider now that the West in general are advanced in the sciences and they have this quest for knowledge. As we're going to see, this type of knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about here is rather very unique. The Prophet ﷺ told us in a hadith, الدنيا ملعونة ملعون ما فيها إلا ذكر الله وما والاه وعالم ومتعلم. So in that hadith, and that to show us also the importance of knowledge, it says that the Prophet ﷺ said, This dunya, this world, is mal'oon. Now, if you translate mal'oon literally, or some of these modern translations, which I really dislike, it says, well, this dunya is accursed. There's somehow a curse put on this world. But if you look carefully at the meaning of la'na in Arabic, it means to be far away from the mercy of Allah. To be, precise and accurate, and this is how we should be when we translate terminology. This is an Islamic terminology. Just like last week we talked about Khalifa, the meaning of Khalifa. The common way is to say caliphate and caliph, and this caliphate trying to take over the world. That is the common understanding of Khalifa. But then we talked about the real meaning of Khalifa. It is to inherit a legacy and so on. Likewise, today, what is the meaning of la'na? It is to be far away. In essence, if you don't learn, what you're doing to yourself, you're getting farther and farther from the mercy of Allah. So he told us in this hadith, this dunya, this world is accursed. This is the common translation, but more so, you are far away from the mercy of Allah in this life, except for few types of people. Dhikrullah, if you mention God on a regular basis. And if you are a teacher, wa'alim, and if you are a student. Now you say, come on, that's so boring. Like, I'm already going to school 5 days a week. What do you want from me? What else do you want from me? It's already too much homework and all of that. And that is the very problem, that now we've made the educational system in such a way that people hate it. Now people hate knowledge. And that is one of the prerequisites. If you want to learn, you need to love it. You need to want it. If you don't want it, you cannot learn it. And I think this is missing in a great deal. It is missing from our educational system. That people don't look forward to learn anymore. That they think it's a burden. It's like a load that we have to carry. Imam ash-Shafi'ee has a really nice verse of poetry. And actually it tells us about 6 important pillars of learning. And I want you to absorb this. If you can memorize it, it would be great. He said basically, أخي لن تنال العلم إلا بستة سأنبيك عن تفصيلها ببياني. He said, oh my brother, you're not gonna gain any knowledge except with 6 qualities, 6 traits. And I will tell you about it in some detail, he said. ذكاء وحرص واجتهاد وبلغة. How many of you, by the way, I know some of you know some Arabic. How many of you understand some of what I said? ذكاء. Yes, what is dhaka? Anybody? What is it?
Smart.
Very good. Smart, being smart. That is exactly right. So dhaka'un, you are smart, mashallah. Dhaka'un, wa hirsun, wa ijtihadun wa bulghatun, wa suhbatu ustadhin wa tulu zamani. 6 traits, 6 qualities essential for good learning, for true learning. So number 1 is you have to be intelligent, you have to be smart. And the question is that by birth or by choice? Do I own my intelligence? Can I change? Can I become more intelligent? Or am I stuck? Maybe my genetics dictate that I'm not smart. What can I do about it? Well, I think it's a mix. But what's important to know is that you could definitely train yourself, and if you have all the other qualities, I think you can make up for this one. So let us listen carefully to all the other qualities. And those are all possible. So number 2, very important. Very, very, very important, which is hirs. Hirs basically is this. Anyone want to try? What is hirs? You again? MashaAllah. You should come be on the camera. People should get to know you. What is hirs?
Like you're being careful.
Oh, actually that is very correct linguistically. Hirs is to be very careful. You say haris is someone who is careful. You watch your steps. That is hirs. Excellent. But here, more specifically to this topic of knowledge, it means to be hungry. You say someone is haris, like he's very eager. So actually the exact translation is to be eager, to be thirsty for knowledge, to be hungry. This hunger for knowledge. You don't see that around a lot. Like this curiosity. If you don't have curiosity, how are you going to learn? Like I don't even care, whatever, I have to learn science and math and all that, but I don't care for it, but I need it for my grade. This is like the worst possible answer you can ever give. Like, I need it for my grade. I mean, grade is important. I don't want any parent to kill me, but this is not going to make you knowledgeable. It is this drive, this eagerness, this thirst for knowledge that will make you a learned man, a learned woman. I'm not kidding. This is really essential. Imam ash-Shafi'ee himself, in a different setting, and I know you're going to think it's a little crazy, or you may not be able to connect to what he said. But look what he said. He said, if I want to describe my drive, my eagerness to learn, it's like I wish that all my body is ears. And like the joy I get when I hear this knowledge, I want my whole body to enjoy it. And I know now you're thinking, man, this guy is crazy. He's one of the greatest Imams that we've had in the Muslim Ummah, Imam Shafi'i. He has a whole school that follows his thoughts and his deductions and so on. That's how much they used to enjoy knowledge. And I hope amongst us in this, inshallah, promising generation, we'll have people like that. Because this is how you're going to be able to live up to your potential. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us here in this ayah, this is the human potential. This is why I created you. Your ability to learn, this is not commonplace. You look around you in the universe. I know now some people say, well, yeah, especially the atheists, they say, after all these discoveries, now you know you're not at the center of the universe anymore. We're nothing but a speck. It's like even spitting. We're nothing but a speck, a small little planet in a small little system, the solar system. It's nothing. It is in that vast universe. I mean, just our galaxy. What is the name of our galaxy? Quick quiz. Not you. I know you're gonna know the answer. Who else?
Milky Way.
The Milky Way, right? How many stars do we have in the Milky Way? A bunch? That's not good enough. Can we be more precise? How many stars? Anyone? Billions? Pretty close. There's about, yes? Twix?
Yeah.
What is that?
From Milky Way to Twix. Really?
So, there are about 100 billion stars just in our galaxy. And they say that the solar system is at the edge of the galaxy. We're not even at the center. And the Milky Way is only one of many, many galaxies. Do you know how many galaxies they estimate? I mean, this is an estimate. Any idea? You can Google it. It's about the same number. About 100 billion galaxies. I mean, you can't even wrap your mind around this. This is such a huge number, you can't even think. I mean, just our solar system, we think it's huge, right? Like the sun is so far from us. How far is the sun from us? How long does it take the light to reach us? Come on, this is like basic science. For the sun, a light year?
One light year.
No! That means it takes a whole year for the ray of the sun to reach us. So if the sun rises, it'll take a whole year for us to see the sunrise. That'd be a disaster. It takes 8 minutes. You know how far it is? Yes. 93, actually. 93 million miles. Imagine, 93 million miles. This is just our system, our solar system. This is just one star out of how many? 100 billion stars. Now someone comes and says, okay, well, so then therefore we're nothing. Like, who are we? Just some little, we're not even ants. I mean, we're so small in this huge, huge universe. But the story of Adam tells us something else. It's not just about the size. Look at the angels. You know how big the angels are? I mean, in one narration we know that Jibreel alayhi salam, when he appeared in his real form, he blocked the horizon. 600 wings. The Prophet saw him only a couple times in his real form. It is not about the size. Yes, it's a huge universe, but that does not diminish, and listen carefully, it does not diminish our value as humans, because we know we have the ability to learn. We have a meaning in life. We have consciousness. It's not about rocks. I mean, yes, there are many rocks in the universe. There are many, stars and gases and so on. It's about quality. This human is so special, so precious. And this is the big point that many people miss. When they tell you, well, we're nothing. We're just a speck in this big, wide universe. It's not just about the size. It is about the quality. Yes, we're very, very tiny and small. If you compare us to everything else, yes. But we got something that no one else has. And that's really important. So let us go back to these 6 qualities. So number 1 is to be smart. Number 2 is to have this hunger and thirst for knowledge. Number 3 is ijtihad. You need some hard work. We need to stop whining all the time. I see this happening in the Muslim community rather often. We're always blaming someone else. We're always whining. Oh, we're victims, everybody hates us. So what? Even so. What are we making of ourselves? And especially to the young people here. Because I lost hope in the old people. Apologies to everybody. But really my hope is in the young generation. Go and make something out of yourself. Don't be pitiful. Don't live in this pity. You have, inshallah, the whole future in front of us. In front of you. And your key is knowledge. Your key is knowledge. Go learn and be articulate. I see so many young people like in college and they don't know how to speak. They stutter. Somebody hurls an insult. Oh, they're attacking the Quran, they're attacking the... What got you say? What have you got to say? Do you have a good response? Are you preparing yourself? Because you're young, yes, I know, and you may not have what it takes, yes, but now is the time to prepare yourself. Now is the time to read and dig in this knowledge and be ready so that when the time comes and they call on you, you are ready. But now someone calls on you, you have no clue. You just, you don't know how can I spend the weekend? What? You don't know how to spend a weekend? And you're going from one game to another? I mean, it's okay to play. But this is just like the small little pebbles in your day. The big rocks is, you have a schedule, you learn. I don't know, I mean, some people they say we love Islam, we want to defend Islam, and they don't put any energy in learning Arabic. And even when they learn it, they make so many mistakes, like, why don't you spend some time and get your tongue straight? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, غَيْرَ ذِي عِوَجْ, when He described the Arabic language, He said, this is a language that does not have any crookedness in it. Learn to straighten your tongue. Wallahi, one time I heard there was a sheikh that came from Azhar. He gave a khutbah in one of the masajid in Phoenix. He was making a mistake in almost every sentence. My head was hurting. All these grammatical errors. The fatha was dhamma was kasra, the maf'ul was fa'il, the majroor, forget about the majroor, al-jar wal-majroor, I mean, all kinds of mistakes. Have you not got the time to learn the language of your religion? And then you say, I want to defend my religion. Non-Muslims are learning it, to attack it. Don't you learn it to defend it? Okay, so back to hirs. This is all in hirs and ijtihad. Ijtihad is you exert your effort, you put in hours of dedication and seriousness, you put in hard work. Again, I'm not saying that people in our community, they're not hardworking. In fact, they are very hardworking. But unfortunately, I want to say this too, we are kind of selfish. Because everybody wants, all they're doing is, they want to have a good diploma, a good career, and a good life. So it's all about grades. Like get good grades, you go to medical school, you graduate, but do we have any good people who could represent the Muslim community, who are articulate enough, eloquent enough to speak of Islam in a good, positive way? That's what I'm talking about. You don't have to be a lawyer. Like somebody comes and says, now we need lawyers, now we need everybody. We need science too, we need everybody. But the point is, everybody should be able to speak. Learn how to speak. Don't stutter. Don't. Like some people have no idea. Like, what do I say? Well, yeah, you've not spent any time learning. You have nothing to say. Please stay silent. You should not speak. So, ijtihad wa bulgha. Bulgha is money. So, at least in the old days, people needed to travel to learn. Like if in your locality, in your village, you did not have any school or any teacher, people used to travel to learn. And they used to put in a lot of effort. People even almost died going from one place to another just to meet a good sheikh. Because yes, in your locality you might have some teachers, but they were not the best teachers. So you learn everything you can learn from your community, and then you travel to meet these grand teachers. This was the ambition of many students. So that is bulgha. And then the last two, very critical as well. وَصُحْبَةُ أُسْتَاذٍ. That you need the companionship of a teacher. Now listen, it's not just having a teacher, that is different. Do you realize some Muslim scholars were companions? They accompanied their teachers for like 20 years. Sticking around with Imam Malik, for example. Imagine if Imam Malik was your buddy, like your companion. And you get to learn from him for 20 straight years. Because then, and only then, you get to learn not just like, it's not just rote learning, you don't just memorize a few things. No, you get to know the wisdom. You get to learn from his wisdom, from his manners and so on. So it's not just, knowledge in Islam is not just information. Knowledge is not equivalent to information, it's far more than that. And the final thing is, وَطُولِ زَمَانِ. You need long time. This is really important because some people get impatient. They say, well, I've been trying to learn this topic, this subject for 2 weeks, and I'm not going anywhere. You know, it's not for me, I'm going to quit. 2 weeks? Are you serious? And you know sometimes what happens, just the moment you want to quit and you think you did not learn anything, you have no idea how much you learned. And then something clicks and subhanAllah, you realize, wow, I learned much more than I thought. So long time is essential. Knowledge is not just dumped on you. What happens, you accumulate bits and pieces. There's a famous psychologist, I don't remember his first name. His name is Piaget, and he's known for this method of constructions in knowledge. So he says basically that the way you acquire knowledge, and I don't think he's the first one because we have it in our Islamic tradition. But basically he said that knowledge is a bunch of fragments that you pick up. So you construct your knowledge. Basically this is a bottom-up approach. He said even when you teach children, because his main focus was on child development. So if you're going into psychology, this is maybe a field you can study. And it's a very, very interesting field. How children learn. It's so amazing. So basically, after lots of experiments, he came up with this idea that the knowledge you acquire as a young person, it comes from these small little pieces. Now, why is this important? It is important because when we teach children, we should not overwhelm them with all kinds of information. That's exactly what we do. And that's a common mistake from parents. Like you have a very young child, you go tell them, hey, clean up your room. And this guy has no idea. Like, what do I do? Okay. To you, it's very clear, it's very easy. To him or her, they have no clue. So you don't go and tell them, clean your room. What you tell them is, see this teddy bear on the floor. Pick it up. You know this shelf over there? You take it and you put it on the shelf. Now that is something they could comprehend. And you do it like this, piece by piece. And now next time, maybe a few times later, when you say clean up the room, now they know, okay, cleaning up the room is made of picking up the teddy bear, arranging the papers maybe in a nice stack, making the bed, and so on. You might take it lightly, but this is a really, really important method of teaching. But you know, when the Muslim scholars talk about this and they tell you about the fact that knowledge takes a long time, because they realize it is all these small little pieces that you learn that you don't pay attention to, and you think you're not learning anything, but you are. In fact, I think it was Imam al-Zuhri, if I'm not mistaken. He said, "Man طلب العلم جملة ذهب عنه جملة," or something like, "Man رام العلم جملة ذهب عنه جملة." If you try and go seek knowledge all together in one package, it's gonna go away from you. You're gonna lose it altogether. Like someone wants to acquire a whole science, a whole topic, a whole subject at once. He said, you know what's going to happen? You're going to lose it at once. You acquire it at once, you lose it at once. He said, rather, وَإِنَّمَا يَأْتِ الْعِلْمِ مَعَ الْأَيَّامِ وَاللَّيَالِ. Rather, knowledge comes through the many nights and the many days. The many nights you spend, the many days you spend, this is how you acquire knowledge. Small little fragments, small little pieces that come and you collect together, and now you have knowledge. Okay. I hope I gave some justice to this important topic. It tells a lot about our objective in life, why we exist. I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here in the first story in the Quran, He's telling us, this is why I created your father Adam alayhi salam. This is why I had this interest in the human race. This is why I defended the human race. The angels did not want you to exist, but I believed in you. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing. But you get the point, I hope. And this makes us so special. And inshallah, next time we're going to see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us even more special when He asked the angels to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. So not only He showed it, He proved it. He in fact commanded the angels to prostrate to Adam, or to make this sajda to Adam alayhi salam. So the story of creation in the Quran is not to be taken lightly, because it is really it is the story of our existence. It tells us a lot about the meaning of life, why we exist on this earth. It kind of validates our existence, in fact. So it is really important to grasp this story, and I hope I gave some justice to it today. And there's much more to be said, but I think these are a few important points that we need to highlight. Inshallah, I will stop here, and if you have any questions, we can do that, inshallah. Also online, if you have any questions, likewise, if you'd like to ask, we'll give you a minute or so. If no questions, I'll end the halaqa and we'll do the quiz. Yes?
Within Imam Shafi'i's entire 6 traits to look for when seeking knowledge,
Yep.
where does intention lie?
So a question from Brother Saad. In those 6 pillars or foundations of learning, where does intention lies? It does not in a clear way, and these are not necessarily comprehensive. So intention is necessary for any action. Here Imam Shafi'ee was highlighting what is specifically important for knowledge, what is a prerequisite for knowledge itself. But it is understood, without mentioning, it is understood that intention is required for any act, not just seeking knowledge. So again, remember what he said in the beginning. He said, أَخِي لَن تَنَالَ الْعِلْمَ إِلَّا بِسِتَّةٍ. Oh brother and sister, to be politically correct these days, because you'll get flogged if you don't do that. He said, أَخِي, he did not say أختي. He said, أَخِي لَن تَنَالَ الْعِلْمَ إِلَّا بِسِتَّةٍ. Oh brother, you're not gonna earn knowledge, you're not gonna reach, you're not gonna be able to attain. That's probably the most precise translation. لَن تَنَال, you're not gonna attain knowledge except with these 6 qualities. So obviously he was specifically talking about knowledge, and these are the main pillars of attaining knowledge. So otherwise you are dreaming. Like people say we're seeking knowledge, but they don't have any of these qualities, and they don't seek or try and get those qualities either. Anything else? Yes.
Maybe comment on question also.
Yeah.
The relation of the ilm of seeking the knowledge
No.
also relates to or seeking the guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So
Yeah.
it's not like just the knowledge without the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you that. Also the Shafi'i said
Yeah.
the poet as شكوت إلى وكيل وحيد وأشهدني بترك المعاصي وأختار من عندها وأن نور الله لا يفتح عاصي.
Yeah.
Connection.
Jazakallah khair. Very good remark. The remark says we also have to be to bear in mind that that knowledge cannot be attained without the help of Allah. And I want to say it kind of relates also the earlier comment. Of course, nothing can be attained without the help of Allah. In fact, as you said, it is part of the guidance of Allah. As you said, وَقُلْ رَبِّي زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. So when you make this dua and you say, oh Allah, increase my knowledge, right? So obviously, you're seeking help from Allah. But I did not mention it, and maybe one reason I feel today that the biggest problem we have is this utter dependence and the false dependence on dua. Like we're not doing our job and we're making dua all the time. Like anytime we don't want to put any effort, we think dua will come and replace the effort we're supposed to do, and that is wrong. Anywhere you read, in the Quran and Sunnah, you have to combine both. In fact, the Quran and Sunnah mention your effort first. Like in the hadith, احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله. He said, go seek what benefits you, and then seek help from Allah. So yes, of course, you seek help from Allah, but you gotta do your job. You gotta take the first step. استعن بالله. It says, for example, يا غلام إني معلمك كلمات احفظ الله يحفظ. You always see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to take the first step. He told Ibn Abbas, he was a boy at the time, he said, you protect the the religion and the laws of Allah, and then Allah will protect you. So yes, of course you're right, but keep that in mind. Keep in mind that you take the first step. As far as also I like the fact he mentioned another verse of poetry from Imam ash-Shafi'ee. And Imam ash-Shafi'ee was a poet, by the way. And that's one of the problems we have today, that you think, well, I'm specialized in, engineering, so I don't have to have any other knowledge. And that speaks a lot to our educational system again. I'm not against, of course you have to be an expert in one thing. But when you have thirst for knowledge, you'd want to widen your horizon. You want to learn about other things as well. So Imam Shafi'i was a faqih, but he was also a poet. The other verse poetry that the brother mentioned, he said, شَكَوْتُ إِلَى وَكِيعٍ سُوءَ حِفْظِي. Waki' was one of his teachers. So Imam Shafi'i went. So you see, the teachers back then were mentors, were coaches. He was not just a teacher. Like if you had a problem, you go to the teacher and ask him. Nowadays, if you have a problem, you stay away from the teacher. You're afraid, well, maybe he will mess up my grade. Maybe he'll learn that I have this weakness or shortcoming. I don't want him to. No, it was the opposite. So Imam Shafi'i had a problem, and he went straight to his teacher. He said, "Oh teacher, I have a problem memorizing. I'm not able to memorize as quick as I used to. شَكَوْتُ إِلَى وَكِيعٍ سُوءَ حِفْظِي. My bad memory. فَأَرْشَدَنِي إِلَى تَرْكِ الْمَعَاصِي. He guided me, his guidance, his counsel, his advice was, leave sins. Because religious knowledge, knowledge of Islam, knowledge of the Quran is a light from Allah. And it does not go with sins. And that is one difference between all other types of knowledge and the knowledge of Islam. So he said, وَقَالَ لِي إِنَّ الْعِلْمَ نُورٌ. And he told me, this knowledge is a light from Allah. وَنُورُ اللَّهِ لَا يُهْدَى لِعَاصِي. And the light of Allah, beautiful words. And the light of Allah is not gifted, it's a gift. It's not given to a sinner. وَنُورُ اللَّهِ لَا يُهْدَى لِعَاصِي. So the nur of Allah is not gifted and presented to a sinner. Great questions. Anyone else?
Just to follow up, you also mentioned about the Prophet's mission about the dua. You see sometimes that, especially the generation need to be very cautious about this, is someone would seek a knowledge and he would attain that knowledge, and then it becomes like an arrogant or a guru that I know the things, so it becomes like.
So now we're talking about afat al-ilm, the pitfalls of knowledge. Of course, no doubt, knowledge, if it is not taken in a proper way, it could lead to all kinds of ills and evil, such as arrogance. Of course, yeah. That's a slightly different topic though, that knowledge, if it is not put in the right context, if it is not used for the right intention, as the brother mentioned, if you learn knowledge for the wrong intention, to boast, for example, to show off like some people do. To me, that's also a problem in our understanding of knowledge to begin with. If people understood the correct meaning of knowledge, they wouldn't even do that. But that's a different topic. Of course, there are pitfalls of knowledge. But that does not take away, it does not, again I repeat, it does not take away in any way, shape or form from this unique quality that the human race has. Nowadays we're dealing with people who say, well, there's not much difference between us and animals and all of that, right? So this is definitely one big difference between us and everybody else, not just the animals, but the angels even. What are some other differences? Let me quiz you now. Between us and animals. You're the star today. I should give you maybe multiple prizes. MashaAllah. Yeah, what is it? They have what? A message, you said? What? You said education and knowledge, yes? Anything else?
Imagination.
Imagination. What about self-awareness? Self-consciousness? You realize the animals they cannot think of themselves. Like you sit down and you think about you as you. Like you could separate you from you. Like you're looking at yourself. The animal cannot do that. And in that way you can examine your past, your future. The animal cannot think like that. And you could argue in a way maybe it is a blessing because now you get this anxiety. The animals don't have anxiety. They don't have, stress and depression because they don't have this thing of self-awareness and self-consciousness. So they live a heedless life. Like they just live up to the next meal and that's it. But we humans, man, we worry so much. We think about our mortality. I mean, this is something the animal does not think about. Like our very mortality. We think about it quite a bit. The animal does not. Yes, I mean, they have this instinct to protect their lives, but that's about it. We have literature about mortality. This very fact that we die. It's not a simple idea to deal with. So there are a lot of differences, by the way, more than you think, between us and animals. Not to mention the fact that we speak. I mean, language is a big differentiator between us and animals. Okay, I think you're getting tired, so I'll stop here. And let me go ahead and